In a minute or two, we'll start. Stay tuned.
Actually, you are the speaker. You should be in the center stage.
Oh, okay. How?
This is
Yeah, even otherwise, I'm leaving. I have another meeting. I'm just coming here to greet you. वो कैमरा के सामने आप रहना चाहिए. Start करो.
Namaskar, good afternoon. Honorable Chairman AICTE Professor Adil D. sir, Honorable Vice Chairman Professor M. P. Punia sir, Honorable Member Secretary Professor Rajiv Kumar sir, our resource person and speaker today, Mr. Deepak Talwar, National Security Officer Microsoft, all the officers of AICTE who are connected over, virtually or here physically present at this conference hall, all the attendees who have taken their time off to get connected with us through different institutions across India. Very warm welcome to all of you. As we are all aware, there is an urgent need to create and enhance awareness to deal with cyber crime with an effective mechanism and organizing the Cyber Jagrukta Divas for sensitizing one and all to the extent of citizens and school college students in municipalities and panchayats. So we may think, why so? Because cyberspace is a complex and dynamic environment of interaction among people, software, services using distribution of information over worldwide networks. There is a rising trend of sophisticated cyber crimes against unsuspecting citizens, and hence it is necessary to be equipped or aware of possible malpractices not to be a victim of this. It has been decided by the central government to observe the first Wednesday of every month as Cyber Jagrukta Divas, after launching the National Cyber Crime Reporting Portal. On the same line, the Ministry of Education has been conducting webinar sessions as Cyber Jagrukta Divas with audiences from institutions such as Central University, IITs, IIMs, IITs, NITs, etc. So in order to sensitize about cyber crimes and preventive measures, the AICTE has also requested all the technical institutions in the country to observe Cyber Jagrukta Divas on first Wednesday of every month by arranging the activities such as conducting institutional level cyber awareness session on suggestion themes such as cyber crimes and safety, concept and use of cyber hygiene in daily life, introduction to social networks, electronic payments and safeguards, and putting up awareness and publicity posters, banners in premises, and asking students to follow CyberDoor, different kinds of social media handles of the Ministry of HA under I4C, Indian Cyber Crime Coordination Center, such as which are available on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, etc. For this, in line with the advice issued by I4C under Ministry of Home Affairs, this workshop on cybersecurity has been scheduled today. Mr. Deepak Talwar, National Security Officer, Microsoft, has kindly consented to make a presentation on the agenda points in the workshop, such as understanding of current threat landscape, types of attacks, key attack methods and common issues, key technologies and ways of mitigation and remediation, and best practices and key learning. I take this opportunity to request Honorable Chairman Sir for the blessings to the attendees present over here.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. On behalf of AICT family, I welcome Sri Deepak Talwar for this very exciting one short workshop for engaging with our stakeholders, be it students, faculty, to create awareness about the security. And you being the National Security Officer of Microsoft, one of the major companies who all face different types of threats, be it on our social media handles, on our mobile phones, laptops, PCs, and even in transactions like money transactions, bank account, etc. Many such frauds come to our light, but some of the minor mistakes which we do make a major fault line. And that is why it's very important to create awareness. Simple things like not sharing the password, etc., which we casually take it, and then also keeping the password, which is easily, maybe imaginable, so that one can crack code. All of these are measures which each individual is required to follow. And there are many other facets. We ourselves, despite being a high level of technology platform creators, many a times we also face sometimes some holes in the security system, in our firewalls. Someone is trying to intrude. These are kind of things which we ourselves also keep on observing. So what are those challenges which each organization, each individual has a, what we call, we have hygiene for taking care of our health. This is our security hygiene, which we all have to do it and maintain it. And I welcome you on this platform for doing it. Fortunately, because of another meeting, I hope this is going to be recorded, and I will listen to the recorded talk of yours. But let all of them enjoy and become cyber safe, cyber secure. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Honorable CM Sir, for the kind words of blessings. Now, moving forward, I request the Honorable Vice Chairman Sir.
नहीं ठीक अरे अभी नहीं अभी सबको मतलब बाद में थैंक वगैरह करेंगे
I request the RKSO advisor.
अरे कोई नहीं you are welcome.
I'm requesting.
I will welcome
Deepak
him.
Talwar ji.
We need to be business like.
I request Mr. Deepak Talwar ji to state we make us cyber safe. So welcome, Mr. Deepak Talwar.
Thank you. I don't know if the virtual teams are able to hear me. Is there a way to check?
Yeah, they will be able to check.
hear us?
They will be able to check.
Screen is visible, right? Okay. Okay. I actually literally got nervous while entering and starting this, because every time when you start security, and sometimes when I enter at the entrance, somebody said, "Sir, aap security mein kya karte hai as a security officer?" And then he asked me that is that security officer means also, because there is a lot to do with the physical security, group force security, cyber security, right? And suddenly I realized that yes, security has multi-fold and multi-ways to enter. A physical individual can enter and then he might create, which I'll talk and relate it to things. But thank you, AICT, thank you, sir, for starting and giving in even 2 lines, you have given the entire narrative which we talk for hours to explain. Let's maintain cyber hygiene and let's have a minimum security baseline. So for having a good level of security, it is not important that we need to look into best of the tools, technology, and cover with multiple gates. I would start my session while sir is here only on one liner, which I always speak. So in most of the forums, especially in academia and for the next generation and millennialia, it is all about that security is an enabler. It's not a blocker. It is highly unfortunate because of the sophisticated crime to a level of nation state threat, which we all witness. And to a level, if I have to go little sensitize the situation of cybercrime, it can be as vulnerable, as sensitive that it can impact while we are traveling on the transport, can shut down, the electricity power grids can go down. And these are not theory, these are examples which we all see through. But there is no reason to understand that is the security a cat and mouse game. I have also created some animations to make sure that today we learn security with the mindset of Jagrukta mission. Thanks to MHA, I foresee Government of India, Ministry of IT. Sir, we run Cybersecurity Bharat as a consortium, just to share with all to set the context. And I urge those who are relevant and related should also have that participation, wherein Cybersecurity Bharat is all about creating that awareness and collaborating and seeing with the education is the prominent part, because once we start disseminating the information in academia, it is actually disseminating for the next CTOs, CIOs, CISOs. If I can talk in security terms, chief privacy officer, compliance, data regulation, there is so many things which impacts. That is one part. Second, being a human being, as a family member, I would say there is a huge amount of responsibility which comes to us when we also talk about security.
So we passed.
Let me ask a question to start, right? I have many slides, but I generally don't follow, so forgive me if something is missed, but practically there are some outcomes which are important. Sir has mentioned about a password, and let me share with you as statistics. If there are any attacks which are happening more than 70%, this will be one incident of weak passwords. But the question is, do you have passwords for your phones, mobile phones, laptop, websites? Do we all carry passwords? Where are those passwords now?
They are also stored in our mobile. Remember.
The answer and problem came at the same time. That where are the passwords? What do you want human beings to be a next AI, or use artificial intelligence and mechanisms to distinguish faculties and virtual teams who are listening, that let's create things so that human brains learn, because now human brains with the help of AI, ML can talk, walk, you can have your native language, you can converse, but end of the day, first you are not remembering, storing passwords. Second, you are storing passwords to mobile. Third, your mobile is vulnerable because you are not patching it. You means overall ecosystem, right? And most importantly, we save passwords, which earlier used to be pen and paper. Like I'm telling my own experience. If you go to my drawing room and the wardrobe, when you open that, I have my card details. Now go and take it. That's a different issue. But if I take the photo of that thinking that it might get distorted, now it is digital and now I'm uploading it to an email, so that if that paper gets torn away, things get changed. These are questions easy to put. The difficult thing is answers. How do you put those answers to? What do you suggest as a security officer? What should we do? I might have a better example to quote as well. Should we not think of passwordless? Just a thought, right? Is the industry thinking of being coming? So what I'm trying to share today is security or technology should be enabler where you can utilize at one level. But after that, there are afterthought that how you put the guardrails and safety guards to make sure it is minimum disruption. Point number two, to set the context, there cannot be any day, sir, that security can be 100% achieved. And there cannot be any day that you can disrupt in this world technology, the disruptions moving from mobile to the world of digital era to the movement of cloud. And now we are talking just for students on the edge computing, right? Anything which is close to me and then I'm connected. Fourth, we might be doing all the security, right? Including all of us, but there are not the humans, but humanoids, gadgets, technologies, which are talking and referring while we are sleeping. Nothing harm. So there is nothing related to where we are using our Chromes or processes or Alexas. We all have it, should have it, utilize it. But while we don't fine tune same way, the way we used to guardrail our homes, we make sure in the night, sir, if you are living in a bungalow, not in apartment, that means bungalow responsibility is higher. Why? Because that ownership to start, I hope I can use Hindi as well, used to have our family says, tullu pump on kar dena. And then because it's a silo places, when we move to apartments, we believe the security is at the main gate. And then we have all the surveillance and everything, right? Every room and every type of aspect needs a different level of mindset and security. So my fourth point is security is all about mindset. It's a culture which we need to look into, and I do not want to portray this as a theory, not as a representation of how organizations are doing. Practically, we are impacting. Fifth question, how many villages we have in our country?
6 lakh plus. Like 40,000.
no answer, and not that I'm expert into it. I prepared, and that's why I will have the answers as well, right? More than obviously 6 lakh plus 6.6 or even 6. In that number doesn't matter. What I'm saying is in that number and the type of vaccination which we did with 100 to 120 crores, you can assume the volume of people who are living remote first have to get the connectivity, the bandwidth, right? The reach of the technology, and then all that stuff. And assuming they've already got early what? Connection, mobile phone. The time anybody gets connected to internet, even offline, you are very close to any type of threats. And second thing, the time you get to connected to internet and you are part of or a victim or a zombie, right? To be part of that threat, it may be likely that because unfortunately, undesired, uncalled for, I might be one of the victim as well as accidental condition to bring down the country's power, very much possible. So what I'm delivering right now, if somebody sniffs and able to reach, the reach is world, not in this room, the time I connect. With all due respect to technology, if it gets connected, hijacked, and this system is acting like a remote zombie, a person who get infected, and then I am being utilized by the command and control centers of the world, and somebody is doing it. There can be a way to connect and identify where all this guy can get access to, or guy or girl, can get access to. And through that, the disruption can happen. These all are part and parcel of my presentation. But I thought that I was fortunate to have his 5 minutes to stop him before gets into. I thought, let me put that the 5 part is, sir, we are going through 3 disruptions in this world, which I am also learning. One is from the market trends and the requirements. Honorable Prime Minister talking about $1 trillion to be built as an economy, and that required disruption from market, and market disruptions come from digital disruption. That's number 1 disruption, right? If you have to do digital disruption, you will start with technology disruption. That's the only way to reach immediately, do a transaction, what sir mentioned, with the other world. And the third disruption when you are doing digital disruption and technology disruption is actually what we are sitting here is security disruption. Now, the question why I said this whole context is these 3 disruptions cannot work in silo. Now, let me give you another analogy. In this whole world, this entire structure of digital transformation, transformation of IT, transformation of technology, and transformation of security is still from the legacy old days till today. For me, it stands on 3 stool like people, process, technology. And we all have to understand, and I'm sure all of us are aware, sir, the weakest link will always come on the weak shoulders of people. Whereas the people are the most intelligent piece who are creating every day to a level of AI, the technology and process. Now, what is missing? The missing area in entire security is just the minimum security baseline to be followed. For example, how many of us has Facebook account? All. 60-70%. By the way, all the questions what I'm asking, answer is yes, you should have it. By default, you can take. Not to be quoted that Facebook means you do not have to. I would rather always say that you should have all those accounts from Instagram, personal or private, and there is no line today, if I can say so, between an enterprise, corporate, academia, or to your personal region. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Pleasure seeing you.
I will listen to you later.
Thank you.
YouTube में भी है.
So there is no line which is there which can divide your personal and professional smartphone. There are technologies and containers. Feel free to ask any level of soft tech, non-tech compliance, any questions you may have. We'll try to answer in my best capabilities, but definitely you do not have any line. That means the line is very blurred. And I'm sure we all have witnessed that blur line when we were in 2020, 2019, and when we saw the pandemic, right? There is also one, statements of the generation of a decade, which could have seen the changes and transformation, right? Has seen it in 2 to 3 months to 1 to 2 years. What we could have seen in 10 years or 20 years, right? We have seen that disruption of whatever it is, technology disruptions, a next level of technology to be used early, adopting the technologies which we were fearful of, thanks to cloud computing that we were able to analyze and work into it, and we need to be embracing and acknowledging it. And at the same time, when these things were happening, when there was a work from home, remote workforce, hybrid way of working, right? And my assumption is that should not go off because of pandemic or non-pandemic. I think the assumption should be that once it has happened, which we should say it should not repeat from the pandemic side, but I hope and I wish everything what we learned should get 10 times repeated so that we get advancement. As a citizen of the country, I'll also make that statement. Why India has to be last to adopt any technologies, whether it is AI or cloud computing and all. And that require early education. Thanks to AICT for inviting me. I don't know whether I'm starting my session now, but to set that context right, it was very important to give you some security perspective. I have tried my best to put some gamification, some processes to make virtual teams little lively. But let me give you the context which I've already covered, right? Just on the screens for the team virtually. This is what I just discussed in terms of the transformation, which is a very, very rapid transformation. I'm sure we all followed how the market trend is touching the business. Business is touching technology and technology is touching security. Now, what is common? Attackers. Attacks equally following, or how should I say, the way we are learning AI, I can tell you there is an underground economy, well funded, sophisticated, complicated, educated, not to be quoted where they study, but best of the trained educationists in terms of their learning of the hacking way. So the problem is not hacking, the problem is it has to be hacking in ethical way so that we learn. The problem is not offense and defense. The problem is to build those capabilities to defend, right? Or to offend, to make sure you are securing the nations. But the attacker mode is very, very vulnerable and open. Last point, as a defender for security, if I have to safeguard my company, out of 100, how many times I should try to save with them so that I'm secure? If there are 100 hits on me in security, how many times you feel I should be securing so that I'm secure? Out of 100. इससे तो मार्क्स भी नहीं आते थे कभी 100 out of 100. In the security world or any organization, if I have to win and always remain secure, that's why I said it's not easy, it is not possible. That's why we should be thinking, what if accident happens? Are you ready for that? What if heart attack happens? Do you have that education for that minute? If that happens, you can save lives. So I'm relating that you can save the infra, you can save network, you can save critical infra or whatnot. But end of the day, it has to be 100 out of 100. Another question, how many times an attacker needs to hit out of 100? Just once. Can you believe this is 100 times race of, there cannot be even one time, one instance, and I'm not going into impact. It can be light, it can be moderate, it can be high risk, whatnot. But end of the day, out of 100, it is only once he needs to attack and if able to penetrate. But for us, it is always 100 out of 100 to defend. So what is the best strategy or first takeaway from this discussion is, you can always create a security plan. You can always adopt technologies. You can be making end-to-end hundreds of shields, which is required not to avoid that need. But that is called pre-incident, pre-breach, pre-readiness. What if something happens is the phase 2. And most important, what is that learning if everything happened? What are the repercussions? What are the changes you have made? What are the transformation? What is business continuity plan, security plan? In the technical terms, we say crisis management plan if something happens. Again, going a little bit tech, it is pre-breach, during breach, post-breach, pre-incident, during incident, post-incident. And if you relate that analogy, it is equally same for anything what happens with the medical fraternity, healthcare fraternity. You got a symptom of COVID. What is most important? First, do you have a COVID? And how it came into light that this is a COVID because of that research. That's why we are sitting in the right room of academia, that the more research, more activity, more defense and offense. Once you know how accurately you are able to get the symptoms, what is the best remedy for COVID is knowing the symptoms early. Everyday damage. And most importantly, can you avoid anything out of it? Can we say directly medicine can be given? Same things is all about malware, ransomwares, email threats, phishing, stalkings, cyber terrorism. Each and every aspect, you need to have a pre-dot, during dot, and pre-dot. right? So this was my first part to share with you, that you need to have all these working together. Digital transformation, when you are thinking as an academia and education, and the students, researchers, faculty development programs, we should all get inculcated in in the institution. It should be institutionalized. Security should be institutionalized in a way that we will get into intrinsic way of digital transformations, technology, as well as security. Let me take one technical step for the technical folks on the call as well. When we are talking security, there is a term which we can define today. One of the learnings from today is zero trust. Now, zero trust is not a product, it's not a technology, it's a journey. You can learn later on few things I try to cover. But in short, zero trust is all the enterprises, all the small sectors, governments, academia, institution, all can improve their security posture of their technology, strategy, business, identity, everything by following a zero trust approach. What is zero trust? Three themes, key lines, right? Zero trust is never trust, always verify. आप घर के हैं, बाहर के हैं, you're from outside, you're connecting, technically connecting from inside out, outside in, you're part of the periphery, you're part of the internet network. You should be validated in all terms and conditions in all situations. Zero trust, never trust, always verify. Second, if you need to believe what we should do as an evacuation procedure if suddenly there is a fire in the room, with all respect of fire alarm and everything, what is the bare minimum? Have anybody read an incident where there was a fire incident in the room, and unfortunately they quoted saying Indians could not survive, Americans and some other were able to survive? Any reason why? It was not a WhatsApp forward. During the incident of fire was already there. There was no difference between anybody else. The only thing which worked was little bit of awareness and education, the way we learn, to save during a heart attack, right? So while this thing happened on the fire incident, they were in the hotel rooms. So they just got all the towels wet, put that down at the corner so that fumes does not come. Whatever towels or small handkerchiefs and all what they were having, they made it wet and put it because the fumes will not come. They lie down on their stomach so that because when fume comes, that always swallowed from the top to bottom. Can you believe what all these things were? Knowledge, learning at right time of executing it. Very well related to the incident or activity which immediately came. Common for all. The difference which came out is few who got survived is because they got some more time. Why I'm relating that incident to cybersecurity? Cybersecurity is all about resilience today. It is no more security. And resilience is all about is time to respond. You go to any doctor in movies, we use say, thodi der aur hoti to bach jata. That instance very well relates to the cyber world. Not that we can be very serious and go on our nerve breakdown if attack happens, but if we have that plan. And why I brought that point is, again, when all these are working in cohesive way, you also need to understand how do we follow. And I'm actually indirectly touching processes, people, process, technology, right? So in the process part, if it is well-written crisis management plan, incident management plan, resiliency, and a concept like zero trust, right? First part, never trust, always verify. Second part, I shared, assume, breach. An incident is in front of you, right? Fire came in, flood came in. You need to assume I'm in the flood room. Just assume for a second that the water has just flown away in this room. Until we feel from the heart of assume breach in this situation, you will never create the real plan. It will only be simulation. That does not mean let's create an attack and do it. But for students, you go ahead and create the all possible attacks to a simulation infrastructure. Many IITs whom we work with have created similar real critical infrastructure simulation of our critical banking, transport facility, energy utility, oil and gas. And in that simulation is doing a real-time attacks, or maybe an attack which has just now happened, learn from it, create and simulate those attacks and see how it happens, just for the learning community. So assume breach, right? And the third part is least privilege. Do you know why all these attacks happen? I have more privilege than I am desired for. I took a chance not to be quoted, though I am getting recorded. I took a chance entered before him, my colleague. I entered, not that I was vigilant and doing that from a security officer perspective, but I made an entry and I thought, let's not wait for him and walk out, walk wherever I can. nothing uncalled for, right? Everything was in sequence. But the way the intruders or processes it happens, what all access, where all I can go, is not that we have to stop it and make it as a coterie and bolt chain, right? That's why in security we say if you want really hard security, put everything, all chains and everything, all data, everything, and put it, millions of down into the in some oceans and samundas. Is it worth? Then you're disrupting technology. That's why there is also a statement: you cannot kill innovation because of security, right? So assume breach was second, third was least privilege. So least privilege is all about at least can we work on minimum privilege which is desired and required. Just to give you an example, and these all are examples so that we have some takeaway. Are we all on smartphones? And virtually also everyone whosoever is listening, are you on smartphones? Can you tell me where is your privacy settings on Facebook? Anybody is aware? Have anybody opened their privacy settings ever? By the way, how many of you recollect and think that your locations are turned on? Just think and let me know. Or let yourself know, don't tell me. Now, I am not debating and questioning it, just go out and immediately turn it off, because then I'll not get my cab as well. Please understand digital disruption, right? What is important is not that every day we have to tweak around, but the minimum requirement, minimum baseline security is you can't be opening your passwords or saving those passwords or making that basic, authentication. For example, a basic hygiene practice for today's second takeaway can be, other than security baseline, is at least have multi-factor authentication. Because banks have provided, so we have adopted. That's why when transactions are happening, and though we feel cumbersome, we do it. But to avoid those cumbersomes, banking, at least banking, I'm using the word, where at least they have given an option. The time you click, automatically 6-digit come, you say approve. This is called ease of doing business. But trust me, for doing that ease of business, including Microsoft, what all we do is humongous. 24 million threat signals Microsoft sees, right, in a day to get those identified. Thousands of vulnerabilities you might be hearing about Microsoft, but nobody talks about how millions of vulnerabilities we stop to defend, right? So it is also a good example to represent an organization, tell you how we make ourselves security. And the narrative, we call it as security of the cloud and security in the cloud, just to give you that narrative. One analogy I thought to give a simplified form, security can be very, very simple. And why we have to make it simple? Because it is so complex that the easiest way to understand, Pythagoras theorem is to make it simplified and disseminate and then learn. Otherwise, we cannot, adopt that, right? I'm giving you an analogy in your screens. Those who can see, right? It's a car, right? And there is a key, and there is an individual. If I ask you that in an analogy of a car theft and a car thief, what all places and what all possible ways by which the car can be stolen? What all thief will do? Any answers? At least in the room, I can be interactive. Any answers? In this situation, if he's a thief, what all he should do or he can do for stealing a car?
Yeah, 3 attacks right now. Firstly, directly into the car. Second is take the key and take away the car. Third is this guy. Destroy this guy, and then
You are attending first time, right? This session. I made this presentation also first time. But you have the answer in the sequence. Thank you so much. You can either steal the car for whatever way. I did a mistake, opened the door, unlocked it, whatever way. I may have done the second part where I have talked about keys. The keys are important today because today keys are also connected, smart devices, digital, manual, whatnot. And third, driver, right? And that can be people management. I hope you can relate why it is related as a car analogy is. The car is all about errors, software, logics, minimum configuration. Why this larger attack happened in the world? End of the day, it boils down to a software and software having some vulnerability, and that vulnerability was not fixed. Why? Because it was not patched or it got connected somewhere, right? It was not a very major thing where thousands of days attacker was sitting and trying to hit that hard. I'll cover in one of the slides. Attackers only will attack based on ROI. He will not waste his energy. Attackers is not physically sitting and stealing the car. Attackers are sitting in millions of attacks, brute force, denial of service they are trying to do. Wherever it is easiest, fastest, and saving their time is the level of ROI they calculate more than us. And if they don't, they disconnect it. What does that mean? What is it we need to do to secure our world? Make the life difficult so that the total time it takes to attack gets extended for them. And for them, it is minimized. Make the cost so high for them that they don't attack. This statement is only for the larger citizenship, right? There are other as serious sensitive activity, which I'll talk in my second talk, which is all related to nation state threat, hacktivism. There it's a sophisticated, well-funded type of attacks where these things may not work, right? But in this simple analogy, what is important, what I'm trying to share is a car has to be safe. That means if you do the basic policy configuration, and that require an entire Pandora box to open, setting up the processes. Second is keys. Keys means passwords, credential, tokens, smart digital tokens, all that what you can think of in this digital world, which might get stolen, your passwords, two-factor authentication, you physically telling somebody, you got a call, and do you know how you will get a call? I don't know, this is I'm assuming and creating, but I'm sure it can be real as well. You touch down in a hospital in an emergency situation, taking your close family member, and in this hush bush, you are trying to identify how to take those stuffs, and somebody calls, sir, these things are ready. I have already sent the OTP to you. Please finalize so that we can get the patient entered into the room. I'm already on the third floor. Very much possible. I'm just creating right light away, right? Why I'm saying that is because where you are is easily available. I don't have to ask you. I'm sure you have to tell our children and families, right? Where are we? How do you know where are we? First, we tell ourselves, hey, I'm in Jammu today. Hey, I'm in Delhi, enjoying the vacation. So nothing wrong. But what I'm saying is, while revealing everything possible, some things are good as well. And then tracking, then turning everything and on, and then making sure it is connected, and that vacation is over. Now think of a same situation, same scenario. Everything is same, but you are connected to a hospital. Whosoever is tracking and aware, and they know where it is, and they know 99% out of 1,000. Remember, only one chance he attacker wants. If he is able to hit hard and he gets that sir 421, please enter room number 330. Your code is 421. Can you confirm the OTP which came? Do you think he's going to read in such a situation? Let me give you live examples. This situation, what I created, was live situations in the COVID time where people were rushing to find cylinders for their families at any cost, at any money, at any route. And what was one of the major routes? Emails, SMS, messaging on whatever platforms. And when you are connecting, you say, here is the link, please register. Now the issue is also what is correct and not. And there technology plays a role in this whole thing. One, you should be having that privilege to understand psychology build. That's why I said it's a cultural shift we all need to understand. Same the way culture came in, that they found the fire, they did not got trapped into what should we do. Mostly what you will do is run or jump. Both cases, either you will be severely injured or unfortunate death, right? But the third situation is that flux of the mind, which is all equally related or should be more high today in this world, in the security, that how we can secure, right? So in that analogy, it was very, very important that in COVID, most of the attack, including Prime Minister's COVID fund, was all related to people submitting money, don't know where they are submitting, money going in the wrong hands. People wish to support system, not able to. Wherever getting stored, there are thousands of websites were created. Top 3 target attacks which happened in the country, not only in pandemic, but otherwise, if somebody asks where are we in the nation, Deepak, as country, we definitely will say that you will see email phishing is one of the specific areas, right? Download, drive by download, where downloads happen. Most importantly, now picking up the heat is ransomware. And the ransomwares are where I am presenting, suddenly my system gets blue. After that, the screen comes and says your files are encrypted. How it happens is a history, and we can talk about it. But what I'm trying to put here is that ransomware is now even at our next level is human operated ransomware. Human operated ransomware it is deliberately planted, not just for money, but they will make sure that the entire sequence, data, everything is controlled for various purposes, right? So if you are with me, there are few slides which I have to go fast, but wanted to make sure that the one of the key aspect also is when we say transformation, there is also one more area which is very, very important. that important area is security is a team sport. And this room may not be suitable, but if you sit in an enterprise and all, we will always debate upon what is that structure, who is owner for what, who is handling security, who is handling as regulation, and there are well structured definition. But what I'm trying to highlight is you can identify assets, business critical requirements, the general applications, the downtime, the processes and plan, but it has to be all hand in hand between businesses and IT. Security is not IT's job. And security is not the burden on business where we say, because I have to safeguard that asset. That's what CFO, CIO, and other enterprises, academia, advisors, government will think through. Who is going to support them? The InfoSec, the IT, and in terms of data, which is the new oil, new currency, whatever we say is to be safeguarded. And that too, it is growing, I think, exponentially. And the growth of data is thanks a lot to the new advanced technologies like IoT, right? Where in IT, IoT convergence, you will find multiple sensors. Your entire home is a digital home. You can assume how much data, humongous data is being created, right? Who is storing it, how it is getting stored, how it is getting secured, if it gets breached, what is that process? This whole concept of not only security, in our term, how we categorize that is security, compliance, identity. And then security, compliance, and identity as a whole to be looked at a single window, as a single glass pane, is what we, at least from our organization, represent to say time has come to consolidate, time has come to integrate, look into a single consolidated way where you can't put compliance on something, though there will be structures and everything will be separate, right? But how they work in cohesion, and that is why security has to be a team sport. Otherwise, you cannot close the loop of security. If you will close, you will not be able to close the loop of compliance. I hope we understand compliance means legalities, penalties. Those who are from the tech teams virtually, and even students, I'm sure, in the regulation, in the European, to safeguard their citizens from the data side, they have come up with GDPR, General Data Protection Regulations. And in the Indian fraternity, you might have heard, we will be coming soon with the data protection law or regime or regulation, right? Thanks to Indian government, we also are working in terms of national cybersecurity strategy, right? These are going to be the guardrails, security to be built up on processes. But what is common is it will always remain on the team sport. So technically what it means is the IT and technology from asset, from hardware, software, applications, identities. One is InfoSec part. Second is data security part. Third is the platform security. Fourth is identity security. And then human securities. All together has to be in tangent, hand in hand, to create that cohesive approach, right? So I have covered that, but I thought to give a flavor of many who are from technology side, they might talk about how is this growing threat of cybercrime, which I use the word underground economy. I don't know how great it is to read, but let me read few things for you, and this can be 2020 onwards data, right? There is an underground economy for cybercrime. The way we, how should I say, the way we buy vegetables and maybe negotiate as well. You can negotiate that, boss, I want one ransomware kit. And you can negotiate on, okay, how many attacks I can do with $66. Let's negotiate 40 attacks, and what is the level of penetration it can do. And what if, maybe there can be a discussion on what if attack is not successful, will I get refund? Maybe the cryptocurrency is paid for launching the attack and there is a refund happening is also in cryptocurrency. Again, all the words to be quoted are technology relevant what is being used. Not to be quoted cryptocurrency is something not to be used, not at all. I'm not making that statement. But coming from the Bitcoin, Ethereums and processes, cryptocurrency is a way where digitally it is easy to access and transact. Where there is a ransomware, most of the ransomwares will be paid in cryptocurrency. Question to you all, should we pay ransomware? Why not? How you will save the data if ransomware is not paid? Where is this ransomware word came from? From a generic term, not the history. I've not gone deep into how ransomware, but I'm saying from a ransomware where it came from. Abductions, people taking up, right? You get kidnappings, and what is it asked for? Some threat, stopping some major activity, political things. in the internet world, hacktivism, and more importantly, can be getting the money laundering or exchange of money, right? With that, what is it you are safeguarding? Your critical asset, family asset. Similarly, in the internet world, when we talk about ransomware, do you think ransom is not paid? For a minute, from a security officer, if I'm a police officer, will say, क्या guarantee है कि पैसा देने के बाद हम वापस आ जाएंगे? Very clear answer. Not that I'm the only experienced person to say paid or not, but I'm definitely one of them who will volunteer to say there is no way you can pay the ransomware and you will get the system back. Again, a nice answer. There is 100% way that you will get paid back, because there can be very ethical way of non-ethical people who will take the money and give your data back. But how do you know that what is being paid back to you has not been copied before giving you back? So this is a question of what is at impact, what is at stake. Is it my critical infra at stake? Is it a plane hijack which is at stake? Then we take that instances to relate it to the real story. But what I'm trying to put, not as a figure, as I said, security is an enabler. And that's why in this Jagrutta Divas, I would not like to make security as a burden. That's the only responsibility I'm carrying moving out. But what is also important to understand, because cybercrime is very planned, sophisticated, nation state actors and threat actors are planned, which I'll share one of the slide which talks about with the chemical names. Microsoft can tell from which countries and what is their naming convention and type of attacks which happen, including the UK and Russian attacks. And we were one of them as an organization where in the Ukrainian and Russian, more than the physical incident and unfortunate condition which we are seeing, there is a larger impact which is pre-planned or during and ongoing, is related to cyber space, right? The war is also on the cyberspace where you are intelligently able to disrupt. And our job as a defender is we are defending, for example, Ukraine, to make sure that there is no attack happen. And as well as because of that, the world neighboring countries can have their own social, economical, societal, critical infra can have that damage impact, because by disrupting those impact, you are diluting the economy. By diluting the economy, you are making the legs weak. That is also a way of disrupting and bringing the nation down. So stolen password, 0.97 per thousand average, $150 bulk for 400 million. Talking about bulk as well, right? Those from technology fraternity can also look into this slide. Very, very detailed slide, may not be visible, but most important is ransomware and extortions, right? Is happening where you deploy a malware, then find out a way in terms of how to distribute it. Like thousands of people will get email, hundreds will click, tens of it will have weak security postures from organizations or consumer or maybe at their home. Unfortunately, somebody might be running what, right? Windows 7, right? 8, right? XP sometimes. And then everything at the top is best. Cloud is secure, infra is secure, our office is secure, everything is secure. System which is running is Windows 7, what to do? And because it is on that platform, it cannot be updated. And because of that update, somebody was able to find the vulnerability. I am not talking about what is the sequence. Should it reach here or it should have been stopped at the web is a various discussion, but definitely assuming multi-layer approach and all will work, but assuming it is not the inbound type of attack to the system, assuming this got compromised for various reasons. I'll give you an example. After this, I'm going to airport and then I'm connecting to airport Wi-Fi. Somebody at airport is, nicely copying me, seeing me, searching me, I don't know, right? And then that activity happened. I hope you assume, right? How I remotely managed secure in this room, but not outside. In that type of situation, in these scenarios, if I am having a legacy system, is one vulnerability. And that's one of that, car incident having weak vulnerability or basic hygiene factor, right? Actually, I'm driving this whole ecosystem or today's discussion also to one word. Same what we learned in the COVID situation is only one thing which I keep learning is self-immunity. In cybersecurity, the self-immunity is the baselines of security. There is no other way. If those are working on their own, the way we will work on our self-immunity, then whatever external infection or things coming, at least it will get subsidized. Save as in cyber, which only can subsidize, it cannot be 100%, right? So, sir,
cyber yoga.
We should go. Oh wow!
Cyber yoga. The cyber immunity will improve.
Oh wow! Wow!
prevention is better than cure.
Yes, yes, but I like that point. In some of the session we also spoke. I was using a lot cyber hygiene, right, and cyber ethics and cyber values. We can add that word like cyber yoga, and you can always have this point. I mean, can be came from AICT, can come in a dictionary as well tomorrow. Having the right values from the gym part or the yoga part or all these sessions, which actually improve. But rightly, sir, the outcome also from that will come also how you're building your, improving your self-resilience, right? So self-resilience or the resilience of the system in cyber, we call cyber resilience, is if that happens, what is that resilience factor, right? In this screen, it talks about the extortion, and on your right-hand side, it's a complex structure, but what it talks about how from ransomware to ransomware, the machines are connected. Why I showed you is because the biggest issue also is when attack happens, there is a word called attribute, right? To go back and identify what is that root cause and where it started. In technical terms, right, you can go to a level of 2021 rather than reaching to a level of 24, 26, where you say he's the guy. You can't. Or whosoever is reached is to the levels. I am connected here. The time you get connected, the IP is already not same. And then from where it is connected within seconds, not only server from the country to server to that network will be completely dynamically changed, right? And the time he's connecting get failed, the server may be changed to any country and then trying to connect. In that dynamic world, the threat actors will be faster. So I'm just trying to share that the ransomwares, which are very, very critical, can cause damage to industry, academia, institutions, corporates, critical infra. It is very, very important to have the structure of the processes and security compliance in place. In technical term, we also say GRC, governance, risk, and compliance. What is the governance model that I'll make sure every system has to be updated? Now, how do I make sure it is updated? That's where we need to adopt technologies, AI and everything, that automation comes into play, automated systems which can update. Humans, if we are thinking in today's world to get update everything, impossible. So I'm again, overweighting one part that you cannot avoid adopting technologies and thinking test karte hain cloud kaisa hai. And I would not like to be the last country to say while testing 10 years have gone, right? So with that, it is very, very important. And whom we are saving from, just from the education side of it, I have covered, but just from the naming perspective, there are various type of actors, not the only one, but I'm just depicting few of them. Script kiddies doing it for fun. They do some testings. Children's kids, youngsters can do it, but that can cause harm, but not that vulnerable. Still should be done in an ethical way. Malicious insiders known to technology sitting inside or found a way to be sit inside. Disgruntled employees trying to steal data. That means you should have a policy. I told Prajot, my friend, that I want to copy that. He said, sure, why not? Let's copy that. But the time I started, it came up, popping up, AICT has not approved you to copy. Why? Because you were running data protection on your systems, endpoint data protection. I could not send to Prajot. Is the instance over? No. The time this happened, sir got already an update. There is a trigger happened from the system, and that system details also gone back to sir. That from this system, IP and all, and this alert, rather than sir is taking right now session with me, and the incident might take another instant. This has already as a workflow have gone to IT to take an action. And in this human intervention, the IT has got that anytime you detect any vulnerable, block them and retain their access. That's called least privilege. Now this guy cannot go out. Maybe I can remotely get him decrypt as well, or sorry, encrypt as well, that he is not able to access anything for that moment. Disgruntled employee was one example, but ideally it can be not only related to malicious insiders, but I'm just saying a malicious insider is more to do with IT and disturbing the ecosystem. Organized cyber crime, where it is organized for a political agenda, for elections, for hacktivism, for that matter, agenda to disrupt or getting the analytics and creating financial gains, cyber terrorism. While through cyber you can go to all type of physical crimes which actually runs on cyber crime and then reaches to remote villages, and all arms ammunitions can be exchanged. Discussions happening on an encrypted channels, you disrupt the complete network. Everything is there. And state sponsored is a state is being sponsoring, do and try to damage, and that can be anything, can be political, non-political, technical. Here is one beautiful slide which is important, and I would request to look at this slide for a minute. This is a sample of nation state actors and their activities. This is not an architecture of any us as an organization. This is the way it is identified. The symbols which you are seeing are the names, and these all names are given based on chemical names. All who have learned earlier chemistry or looking into those chemical names have been identified that a region like Russia will have krypton, strontium, yttrium. We have forgotten our chemistry, sir, right? to good learning. And coming from China side, manganese, nickel, zirconium. What I'm trying to share is these are the chemical names identified, which is related to the country, sir. And this is also related to how these names are nation state threat actors, and they have done various level of attacks or ownership. The way we see in terrorism, we have done this, physical incident or terror attack. Similarly, these can be sometimes owners, or sometimes they can be, doing it for various purposes. Anyways, the reason to show you is this is where I wanted to conclude that the threats where we started from consumer, users, organized, sophisticated, script kiddies, malware, for financial gains, and nation state threats. I hope you can relate to the country level wars or activities which are going on, how it can be related. And as per the regions, there can be groups, and they have some focus areas as well, by the way.
इंडिया तो कहीं दिख ही नहीं रहा, ऐसा लगता है इंडिया में कोई अटैकर है ही
नहीं sir, है, but obviously पूरी countries, not all the countries have been covered here. Some of the countries, or maybe the chemical names which are identified, are covered. Not to be on a good books to say, but India is one of the top 3 countries in the cyber attacks. We do have a very great defense policies and security policies and procedures, but seeing the impact of the country, and we have already touched villages, but overall with the population and the technology and the states and the disruption which we are doing across the world, definitely we are one of the top 5 when it comes of the usage as well, because we'll be one of the largest mobile users as well. So the penetration is easy, awareness is all part of it. But yes, maybe these are some of the specific the countries and the regions where it is highlighted and being structured, which we can identify on this depiction. Of course, this is covered, but just to give you some update on when there is a basic, getting into the system, try to penetrate the attack, write a social media, get those credentials back, like a reconnaissance attack is like 2 weeks to 3 months. It takes, just giving some numbers to you, to find out from a phishing initial attack, 1 ghante se 3 din mein attack can get into the processes, right? What is payload that I have created, and in fact the real infection, and then downloading a payload which will create another variant in another system will take 1 to 5 seconds. And any of the exploitations, getting into command controls, doing the bug identification, evasion to the systems, doing the phone home, getting connected, and then sitting there. I'm sure in some of the forums you might have seen when the attack happened, and they say, "Kitne time se tha?" Do you know? Sometimes when we say RCA, root cause analysis, this attack happened, and somebody says it was because of this vulnerability or not configured well, and they say, "How long this virus was there in my body?" Any guess? Various numbers, but just to let you know, there can be number as good as 200 days to 50 days. It is lying in the network. Sitting idle, or creating their variant, or horizontally moving, or identifying. New ways of attack, supply chain attack. In the supply chain network, that's what the hottest topics out of IoT, AI, securing IoT and all, is also supply chain attack. Examples, another example is softwares where we are creating. Now I have a software update of software. You hook to that software, and every update which is happening anywhere else, that update has an infection. Can you believe that? It's not a malware implanted into that supply chain, that when it creates that update, 18,000 companies from the supply chain, has got those updates of patterns through some vulnerability or whatnot, and you got infected and got into that. That level of supply chain require a different mindset and a supply chain of security. If it is AI, you need to have AI security. AI security to secure AI security because it is equally used by the hackers as well. They are also learning AI, right? Maybe doctorate or postgraduates in their terminologies and learning as well. So it's very, very serious to understand that it has to be equally balanced. But what is important is it's very, very pertinent to kill the security chain, where it starts, how it is propagating, so that even if the infection has happened, if you kill the chain early in security, we say, whether the email came in, somebody clicked on, download has happened. Think from a technology side, what all has happened, but what could have been still be able to save is if your endpoint has a security, likely individual who has clicked it and payload got downloaded should not get executed, whose job it is. On the endpoint, maybe security. It should not create copy and download from web, whose job it is, web security. I'm just now moving to my second leg of solution strategy, right? And then whose job it is from the firewall, how it is allowed so that automatic response goes. And by the way, all this multi-layered security and all whatever is happening, is there anyone who is monitoring them technically? That is called identity event management, SIM tools, or security operations SOAR tools, intelligent monitoring systems who are actually monitoring, collecting logs, looking into incidents more than what human eyes or ears can think or sense or look into, right? And that automatically intelligence says, hey, your firewall is having this problem of somebody penetrating. That noise or that signal or that vulnerability to be monitored has to come back to system which we call as centralized management system. Each and every layer of security is important. Question can come, when we are creating it, how do we follow those processes? This is just one example that you should have cybersecurity maturity model. And what is that maturity model? Come from the NIST framework. You can have many framework, but I'm just picking one key of them. Identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover. Each and every pillar has their own segments, but you definitely need to create a plan end to end. So when tomorrow, if you think, let me improve AICT. So just taking an example, let's improve AICT today from security posture. Where to start? Should we talk what I told or anybody told and create restructure? Then we will say, let's identify which is critical infra. What is important? Where is my network? How am I connected? What all are my assets and everything? Let's look into the processes and policies. How we are distributing the process, policies, password resets, how am I configuring, how students get access, how they're connected to cloud, how they're connected to the network, right? Who all are accessing it, people part, right? And when all these things are set up, one most important aspect will come up is, should we inculcate into a structure so that we know who is to do what and how it has to be recovered? That's where these models comes into the play. One I told you, zero trust model, which you can learn later on, is very important topic, even for the faculties and the evangelists, right? But identify, protect, detect, respond, recover as a NIST CSF framework, cyber security framework. It may be able to disseminate and help create cyber resilience regime. I know it's a one-way talk. Are we all okay? I know it was exhaustive.
So some metering mechanism is there. See how many attacks are being done. Suppose in AICT system, we are having our own system, some protection we are having, but still we can identify that how many attacks are getting over us. Any mechanism could be clean of that.
Right. Accuracy can be difficult, but is there a way or mechanism? 100%. One of the example I gave, for example, most easy word when I said was called SIEM as a tool. These all, and this is one example, there are many, but larger word, English word would be, there are monitoring tools. Second, how many attacks are happening? Most important is how many attacks can happen. Is about VAPT, vulnerability assessment, penetration testing. People like Big Fours, auditors comes and say, let me audit. What do they do? With all those tools and technology, they penetrate and see what all are open, where all attacks can happen. Second is, as you rightly mentioned, sir, what all is happening is all about the way we do monitoring. There are automated tools, technology, monitoring methodology, which tells, and where it collects data from all of your network tools, endpoint, devices, routers, switches, firewall. These all can be connected to intelligence and that intelligence is collected just from a Microsoft example I'm sharing, can be connected to Microsoft intelligence. So if Microsoft is learning 24 trillions, we must be having that intelligence. If that intelligence disseminated and connected to your intelligence, we will be able to stop that threat as well. Second, disseminate, then also tell what all attacks are happened or bound to happen, or fortunately, we have already stopped.
But for that purpose, I'll have to request to you, or you are having your own mechanism. Say my mobile, if I'm requesting to Microsoft that you please do identify that who are the people who are attacking on me, without request, probably you also may not be able to find.
Very good question. So this was what I answered, was more from the organization perspective. Great question comes to mobile. First of all, the analogy of mobile is absolutely different. In a mobile environment, which is more vulnerable, there are three factors which are key. One is your mobile automatically doing the activity to stop by the process itself. It is already there. Depends upon mobile, Android, iOS, the security which they do, the update which they do. But if you want to know, then definitely you need the tools and softwares and processes to be installed. Absolutely.
Just, and many a times I may not be committing any mistakes. See, when we were discussing, one issue was that immunity of the system. When some attack is there, if I'm highly immune, then certainly it may not be able to attack. That is one part. If I'm strong enough, that virus won't come, it won't be attacking. But sometimes I may be strong also. Some 2-3 months back, from my mobile, from my WhatsApp number, the messages were going that yes, I'm Professor MP Punya, my daughter is stuck somewhere, please do help, like this one. Same name was coming, Vice Chairman MP Punya, like this one. And probably in that case, I have not committed any mistake also. Without committing any mistake, even there was a misuse. And probably I may not be knowing, even maybe some precautionary measures also for that one. So anyone may not hijack my number like this one. After 15 days, my Honorable Chairman's number also it was flashing like this one. So probably in some of the cases, some mistake we are committing. Just example of car you are given. Car, key, and then person who is ready to have that business. So one case I put my key inside the car, I have forgotten it, it was my mistake. And that's why that person has taken the car. In another case, there may not be any mistake, but still there may be chances that I parked my car in some 40 cars, which was, that area was not vulnerable for that, but still someone has taken my car. So probably two major this classification, and at least from your side, some of the suggestions to us, say some 5 suggestions to us, that in what way you should protect your machine, you should protect this and that minimum. This thing, when we are going to doctor, is saying if you are having the fever, ठंडा पानी मत पीना या ठंडा दूध मत पीना या गला खराब नहीं, कुछ जो आराम से साधारण सी चीजें जो डॉक्टर की समझ में आ जाती है, कुछ वो लंबी चौड़ी जैसे बातें अपने को कहता है, दैट मे नॉट बी इजी आल्सो टू अंडरस्टैंडिंग है, डिफिकल्ट आल्सो। कुछ हम चीजें आपसे आज ये भी चाहेंगे, और विशेष रूप से ये दिन मानते हैं कि एक लिटरेट एक हम लोगों को लिटरेसी है, ये राइट है ना, ये लिटरेसी है कि कम से कम हमें साइबर के बारे में थोड़ा बहुत ज्ञान हो, जिससे हम बच पाए, हमारा अकाउंट बचा पाए, हमारी जो कोई और इंफॉर्मेशन, सीक्रेट इंफॉर्मेशन, दैट कैन बी आल्सो बी प्रिजर्व्ड लाइक दिस वन। तो कुछ पॉइंट हमें जो है वो भी बताएंगे कि मिनिमम हमें प्रिकॉशंस क्या रखनी चाहिए जिससे बचा जा सके, या बहुत बड़े नुकसान से कम बचा जा सके।
राइट, सो
जस्ट एक एग्जांपल मेरे साथ जो हुआ, आई वाज डायरेक्टर ऑफ नीटर चंडीगढ़, इट इज इन चंडीगढ़, एंड one responsibility of ours was to conducting some third party test for this job. Government used to request to us that you please conduct this test, and you'll have to identify some 20 or 30 or 100 good students out of 10,000 like this one. So conducting examination. So one exam we have conducted, and in that case some 86,000 students have participated. We were preparing that result, merit, everything, SC, ST, quota, everything we were preparing. Result was not final because some reservation quota also it has to be applied. But someone during that process, someone has hijacked our result, and he has declared also result. सरकार में आ गया, पंजाब सरकार में रिजल्ट डिक्लेयर कर दिया, नीट चंडीगढ़ ने रिजल्ट निकाल दिया, दिस इज फर्स्ट रैंक, दिस फिफ्थ रैंक, दिस 100th रैंक, but that was not actual rank because many more this exercises was supposed to be done for the purpose of identifying that reservation quota, everything. So कुछ ऐसी चीजें जो हम इतने बड़े काम करते हैं एआईसीटी में, कुछ हम लोगों को शायद हम सिक्योर्ड नहीं है पूरी तरह से, और सिक्योर्ड होगा तब भी आपके अटैक्स हो सकते हैं। अगर इम्यूनिटी मेरी ज्यादा है तो अटैक शायद वो माइल्ड हो, इम्यूनिटी मेरी कम होगी तो छोटा अटैक भी। कोरोना भी सबको नहीं हुआ ना, कोरोना भी वहीं पे हुआ जहाँ पे जो है इम्यूनिटी आपकी कमजोर थी।
करेक्ट।
तो कुछ हम लोगों की, आज आपका इतना इम्पोर्टेंट टाइम एंड वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट हो यू आर गिविंग, कुछ हमें ऐसे प्रिकॉशनरी मेजर इंस्टीट्यूट के हिसाब से, पर्सनल के हिसाब से भी आप जो है
No, बिल्कुल
हमें
sir,
suggest
बिल्कुल.
करें।
I'll rather answer this. This is important. If you are okay, not to worry too much on time in terms of presentation. This is important actually. And this is not the only way. As I said, there are hundreds of experts we can collaborate, but one of the piece which is important, everybody knows. Whatever I'll say, you all know. First of all, there is no magic, right? But I can tell you one thing that, for example, हमारे mobile में how many mobiles have security installed? Non-tech, seniors, juniors, students, faculties, corporates, all. Security, if that is so important, तो हमारे लैपटॉप पे मैंडेटरी हो गया, कहीं ना कहीं सिक्योरिटी होता है, सो कॉल्ड एंटीवायरस. आई एम जस्ट सेइंग वन एग्जांपल. दैट इज वन वे वेयर परवेसिवली और इन्वेजन्स हैपनिंग, और उसमें आपने कुछ नहीं करा है सर, लेकिन उसका बेसिक होने की वजह से तीन चीजें हो सकती हैं. सीधे अटैक नहीं हो रहा है बिकॉज देयर इज अ सिक्योरिटी रनिंग. आई एम टॉकिंग सिक्योरिटी एज एन एप्लीकेशन रनिंग टू सिक्योर योर फोन. सेम द वे. So today mindset is not that smartphones have to be secured in this way. We believe जिसने बनाया उसने secure कर दिया. But when you go to browser, you are on internet through mobile phone. But how are you going to browser? Through phone? No. You are connected to browser on that internet browser, Chrome or whatever. But how are you connected? You are connected to your Wi-Fi at your home. And your Wi-Fi was weak. Most of the work from home attack happened because we were never used to configure our router. हमने तो कभी रीसेट ही नहीं किया, उसके तो पासवर्ड भी लोगों को पता लग गए. I hope you agree, right? Now, what all devices are connected to your home? All 5-7 devices? I'm giving live example. Now you came to office, got infected at home, already got vulnerable. Now you're here. On what network you are on? 4G. Now you're not 5G. But is the system already infected? Yes. Now when you're opening your banking, that guy who is sitting is doing it. I'm not quoting the forwarding of the WhatsApp and all. There are various ways to get into. But what is most important was, and this is not a learning basic job, sir, can be rectified. But I just covered one part which is called tool technology, जो basic है. Why? Because human intervention daily basis पे cannot do. Very real, right? If it is a digital key, it will be more secure. So let's talk about it rather than learning about की चाबी कैसे बनती है. Not required. Not everybody's IT savvy, right? So that is one part. Second, many a time we get update, even including mine. I'll be very open to confess. Not that every time I get update, space ही नहीं होता. कल कर लेंगे update. Now somebody has written an agreement which we all agree, right? I hope we say agree to that agreement. Have you ever read? No. Where it might be written that patch has to be updated, otherwise don't claim ABC company for update, right? But update in general way should be possible to get updated. Third, passwords and activities which we do. So these all are easy way through which your phone may be remotely getting configured or processed for use. And there are 10 people following those things. So ये एक basic practice वाली बात हो गई कि tools और technology कैसे install करने, processes कैसे करने, login credentials कैसे manage करना है, right? And then, unfortunately, in today's world, I think all that what is there, right? In corporate, just to let you know, when we use corporate, I hope I told you that my phone is also my office. And in my office, what is that office? In my in my smartphone, I do have a container where I have kept all my corporate application, and they are managed by MDM, mobile device management. It is secure. My data cannot go out. We live in cloud world. I can access from my mobile, same thing what I'm doing right now, because it gives me an ease, even if it gets shut down. Do you know if my system today gets shut down by any reason? Shut down means not the battery shut down. It gets into all that what is there is already straight. Even shut down, they say ransomware, go ahead, disrupt it and delete it. I don't care. At least from data perspective, it is lying. Even when I am working on a Word document, Pradyot can same time work on that same document, and it will show in the document right now Pradyot is live and working. Why I'm relating to these is there are real-time activities and processes which technology can solve. Second, 100% right, sir. The ownership do not lie most of the time to you. But what happens? I'm giving a cadence as well. How many times we get into an issue and report? Many commissionerate we talk, they say report ही नहीं होता है. और होता है तो हम ट्रस्ट नहीं करते कि साइबर क्राइम में रिपोर्ट किया जवाब ही नहीं आया. They are not able to track until you give them the information and process it that it is getting vulnerable. What I'm trying to share is break the chain when you got infected. These are real cases. By knowing and mapping that and taking that identification, not every time we can be serious and just say WhatsApp forward ho gaya, IT team should stand up and run after it. That's a different issue. But these kill the chain is where it will not happen. It is real example what you said happened in a corporate where from there they connected and they know we are having your phone number and details and everything. While you are doing it, he said it's fine. He got to IT, closed that stuff on its own and said that's fine. After that, their chairman and everybody started getting those things, and within some time it got, because we did not held that it is a high intensity activity. Do you know what was the root cause? In the public way, real example, the way you said on the website, in the way they were downloading, everybody who was registering for the event in the database, everything was available. So at least user ID, email, phone number, 4 things are there. Getting some information, Aadhaar and all, also got date of birth, easy. Do you know the permutation combination to get the legalities and getting into process? Easy. Then you can even track in north region mein kis jagah par ye phone chal raha hai and whatnot, right? So application can be secured by app security. Mobile can be secured by mobile security, which we should apply. Not that everything start investing 1,000 rupees today and start securing phone. But if you feel it is secure and it is this guy, small guy, requires safety, like overall thing, then it should have the basic practices, update, passwords, as well as what I told the other stuff, right? Last piece, if it happened, that's where we were talking on resilience. If it happens, in this case, web corporate, right, there has to be a mechanism to report. I would never say this will not happen, but if that happens, uske liye kya karna hai? Emergency kit mein kya karna hai? What I told, right? Even if there is a software and you found this has happened, you can report through that software so that take immediate action. उसमें एक फायदा होगा, block हो जाएगा, अगला connection नहीं होगा. We are safe, right? Those are the mitigation can come from 100 to 50, 50 to 20, and whatever is left should be left to the doctors. And in cyber world, the doctors are subject matter experts. That last thing what I would do is rely on cloud more than you, because somebody is sitting more expertise than all of us who can solve that problem faster. Otherwise, there is no sense of telling 24 million, trillion signals we do until those signals are not coming to you, right? Website, all these website, student information, the way disseminate, 100 times somebody, as I said, script kiddie can be doing, a student knowing more than us on the system, good guy, but a good girl, and they did some incident activity. What is that procedure to minimize that impact? Or for the other reasons, a sophisticated targeted attack, that if I do that, announcement of an election, by the way, sir, movie before release, crores can go, right? Disney, any basic things before releasing tomorrow, real estate design, right? MR Group, anything happen. These are examples, not real. I'm just giving just the names, right? Nothing that attack has happened, right? And in that situation, ek din dur ho jaye, design ho jaye, somebody else can launch and crores can go, right? In this means that there is a planned activity, and that's why you require process. If that process will trigger automation, and that's why you require AI, ML, and sophistication into that to build it up. But on a simplistic term, we can definitely take that security.
Last question, attacker जो है क्या रेकी करता है क्या? अटैक जो कर रहा है वो रेकी करता है क्या कि यहाँ मेरे लिए इजीली स्पेस है, यहाँ मेरे लिए मुश्किल है, यहाँ पे मैं जो है इसी जगह जाता हूँ तो मेरे लिए बहुत इजीली मैं लेके आ जाऊंगा, या 5-7 दिन ट्राई करता है वो, कभी न कभी ये जो है ताला खुला छोड़ेगा, दैट टाइम आई कैन एंटर.
Right. Let me move to a slide. That's your answer. Let me share some slide, and this also gives some ease. These all are photos which I have taken online. This is not what Microsoft presents in terms of making it little gamification, even if it is getting recorded for your learning purpose, right? Unprepared is what we discuss right now. That's the slide which says what unprepared is like. When we understand, as I said, assume breach. So there is a recce, there is a follow, there is a regular connect. There are somebody who is doing something called denial of services or constant attack, seeing what is the system which are easily available, penetrated. There can be sophisticated attack only targeting defense and intelligence, which is the loophole, so that I can disrupt. Somebody who is doing, these are the consumers for this area, this region, who are absolutely not educated, but fully got their mobile configured. And because of this population, it is easy to get connected and move on. I hope you can relate, because it's easy targets. And you might think those are the attackers, poor people got attacked. No, those are the system from where they will launch attack on you. systems are there. Unpatched system, legacy systems. Remember, जब एक्सीडेंट रोड पे होता है तो जो अच्छी गाड़ी चला रहा होता है एक्सीडेंट में उसकी गलती खाली नहीं होती है या उसकी वजह से नहीं होता है. So you might have good signals, you might have good traffic, you might have a decent driver driving well, but when he got a hit from the back, right? So the driver who was trying decently, is it going to be less damage to him? Suddenly, unfortunately, maybe many more. What I'm trying to say is, even in any situation where things are there, the horizontal attack, the movements, all can be planned. I'm not saying it is just way of following it or tracking or recce doing, but these all are few of the examples out of many. Okay. I'll not go into this slide deep, but it is more about, uncertainty of getting your tools, keys to criminals, or likelihood of gangs who are following it up, in various ways, chaotic communication, and not going too large. Even in academia, somebody is following, आज result आने वाला है, कल network down कर दे, result ही नहीं आएगा. और result आने वाला एक दिन पहले somebody has paid, please declare, or disrupt it. If the disruption happens, 3 days will gone. What all will happen? I'm not taking that example. So there are process, and then for that somebody might be buying ransomware. I explained you, and then they launch. This is all how it is related. This slide I kept in between because I know this is the right time for a wake-up call as well after an exhaustive talk, right? So I thought let me put it. How much time we have? 15 minutes more.
That's only 5 we planned.
5. Okay, and we are at 4:30.
15 minutes more.
15 minutes more. Okay.
कुछ और क्वेश्चन भी आपके लोग कनेक्टेड हैं उनके क्वेश्चंस भी सुने आप लोग.
So I will wrap up in 5 to 7 minutes, open 10-15 minutes, even extending 5-7 minutes even for the questions as well. But just to summarize, right? This is a cat and mouse activity. Earlier there were defined signatures. For that signature you can create antidote, like there is a tools, so that if virus is created you also have an antivirus tool so that it can secure. But with time it got sophisticated. It got attacked. Then there is artificial intelligence, sandboxing, security advances happened. So this all have got a very, very sophisticated thing. So it's a cat and mouse type of catch situation, just to give you a gamification way. And who wins and what? It is all a little bit of comedy, but the reality is there is always a catch situation to look into. How do you get into identifying the risk? And that is how we say it has to be security, has to be risk-based approach. You need to cover assets. I've already talked 3-4 times, but I'm summarizing here. What are you trying to protect? Those who want to know what should I do, where to start, this is the slide for you. What type of threat, what I'm afraid of, how could that threat can happen, sir, can happen from mobile, kaise ho sakta hai, uske liye process kya, the time we double triple click, you will start getting answers. And why it will happen? Because of profitability. Opportunity kya hai, why are we doing it? Should we stop mobile? Should we stop access? No, because you are transforming, you are building sustainability, business has to continue, modernization are happening. This is all opportunity. How do I control that opportunity? By removing the issues in the concerns part. Privacy, my data privacy, my personal identification, my videos, photos, my corporate data, confidential data, right? For that, government is forming regulation. IT teams will form the data regimes, follow that, and then you will follow the InfoSec and confidentiality, integrity, availability, all that traits, which will secure you. And then if you're not doing well, somebody should penalize. Punishment, compliance, regulations, transparency. And then if you're logged with security, say, they say you can't move. That's a corporate, just a terminology to give vendor lock-in. You cannot have a vendor which you're logged with and then you're not able to change or improve security, right? This is the answer, sir. Attackers hack on. Attackers are like water. This is not just one of the examples, can have various analogy. I picked this one for today, saying these are like water. They will take the shape easiest available. An answer I've already given in my earlier talk. As early they can penetrate without investing their too much time, money and all, and easily able to penetrate. Wahan wo second ke liye rukenge, nahi hoga, they will launch another attack somewhere else. They work on time and ROI. They establish paths and method, can be Reiki as an example, and easiest available opening. That's all your answer for today. You try to identify these easiest opening with the technical talk, what I did. I think it will be easy to relate that humko ek hi kaam karna hai, attackers ka ROI. You make the life difficult because you cannot just stop it. And to do that, you always believe and start thinking, how do I increase attackers' cost? And that you can do by defending your infrastructure, and that will minimize your cost. Question can be करे कैसे? Multiple security layers, physical security, identity and access. Your digital identity is more vulnerable than your physical identity. Aadhaar card in your wallet is safe, but you have kept your Aadhaar digitally available everywhere. Just an example, right? Perimeter is safe, but you are connecting to the internet perimeter in an unsafe Wi-Fi environment with open passwords and then not logging off and no passwords. What do you want? That should not happen. And you should believe that we should live in a world where doors should be opened whole night and nobody should enter. No, that ideal world is not like that, right? So networks, compute, where your data is storing, right? How it is being secure, how it is being encrypted. Can you do that? Or can organizations do? Because not everything we can do, right? And how this falls into our information security, which is all about CIA. Confidentiality to be maintained, integrity of data, it should not be tampered. And most importantly, data also have to be available and accessible, right? So very quickly, jumping on where I started, even to touch, never plan to just pay ransom, because in all cases you will not get everything what you look for, right? And then where I started, one of the topic or one of the takeaway for you is think through what is zero trust. Assume breach, explicitly verify everyone, and should have least privilege. If we build that mindset, and this you need to create zero trust in layer wise. Let's do zero trust for identity, application, devices, data, infra, and that follow this breach you can build. Question which was asked is called Security Operations Center. Most of the organizations, institutions, large entities, small entities put a Security Operations Center. This is a center from where everything gets monitored, all technologies get connected, and you are having a single window pane. And that's why I said slowly you need to consolidate whatever company technologies so that you have a single window pane to look into, and then improve your governance, risk compliance, and data security. And the world is moving to IT and IoT, Internet of Things. Everything is connected. So you should have a security. And to do that, you should have integrated horizontal end-to-end approach, which is automated. And this automation and intelligence today come from two superpowers today. One is automation, and second is AI. These are the two super tools, right? Who are not just technology. By the way, AI can be utilized in agri. I hope you're aware. Agri-tech can be improved. You can understand the seeds can grow better. A drone can go to a Himalaya mountain and get into things and identify yahan pipe pad sakta hai. You cannot. And it can go faster. Collect the data from here to moon, whatever it is, and you can consolidate. And then based on that analytics, you can identify what height, what level bridge can be, and you can assume what I'm talking can give a drone for intelligence and defense of the country, right? Now, what is required? Security of that drone, accessibility, availability, even having the trademark that this is compliant, whose drone is going where, So all this comes under some model. One example today I took for zero trust, and security has to be balanced. If it is high security, take the action. Please do not make everything high and say technology adopt nahi karni hai. Not a good example, right? So it has to be a balanced trade-off, right? So benefits of modern approach. Sir,
You are moving fast and also thinking that one question you said that to maintain the security, you should use AI technology, all things. So from the point of the common man, now AI की बात अगर हम उसको कहने लगेंगे कि आप मोबाइल यूज कर रहे हैं, AI आप यूज करके अपने को सिक्योर कीजिएगा, ये बात करने में अच्छा लगता है. But how the common man will use this AI to secure his devices? So that is the main task, because we have all technologies, all tools, but they are high-end tools. But at the level of the common man, like हमारा अगर DO कोई काम कर रहा है अपने system पे, how he will be able to manage all such things so that his system is not.
Great question. Thank you for holding me, stopping me for asking this question. If I missed, these all are technology which is called to be built in.
That's right.
अगर कॉमन मैन को AI सीख के अपना टूल टेक्नोलॉजी करने लगे तो हम कहते हैं ना, if I am working in an oil industry, what should I learn more? How to stop email spam, or I should know how to handle the oil factory? The answer lies there. a common woman or a common man, or for that matter, any entity. What I meant AI and all are is most of the technologies, security, endpoint security network are inbuilt by security by design. There's a concept. In that security by design, how are we securing, making sure trillions of signals comes is by AI. And today we are getting educated that how these things are being utilized, not that AI has to be done to improve this. Just to give you one example, from chip to cloud is the concept has to be secure from our organization, chip to cloud. And to secure it at all levels, you are using signals, threat intelligence, endpoint security, network web, and behind that, some of the technologies which are helping to improve that signal, sir, is artificial intelligence. Automatically remediation is happening. But for common man, the example which you took was right in terms of where we should secure our passwords, how the privacy settings has to be there. If you got an alert to update and you feel it is an IT driven thing, let's take that action. That level of awareness can minimize, or not sharing the OTPs and password 100 times it comes on the radio, right? But there are many source instances. That's the only level. And last piece, if technology becomes so complex for common man and woman to utilize that, I don't think so that technology is to be utilized. And second part, which was last there, but not to jump too fast, but these all are technical things to conclude on is people will trust technology, people will use technology when they trust it. If you don't trust technology, you will not use it. And that trust breach will happen when you get infected on the mobile. Maybe it has happened because of a vulnerability or some download which you have done, or download a movie which got corrupted. But because of that, when the fraud happens, you will always distrust the bank or your phone or that company of that phone. So that sequence is what we are trying in terms of building that awareness that look, this is what is happening. And this is the one more technical answer, that each and every layer of security has to be secure. This is more from the students, corporate enterprises who will learn that how this whole industry works, but it disseminates even to the user that behind how we are securing the world and making sure this goes into. I will try, just for 30 seconds to open, because I've covered those in detail early because I knew we will have more slides than expected. I'm sure you have read about the ransomware part. We just touched upon how the assets are important, the security shirt and improvements are happening. But let me take you to some of the contextual part, which is building the security, which I concluded on modern security. This is not relevant in this room or to the virtual team, but this is more relevant for the, if at all, students and the training faculty, which talks about what all we should build on and teach students on. Then the concept comes the modern security, identity, security operation, tell students about what is infra and development, go deep into it. By the way, what I'm talking today, each one of them is not a philanthropy. It is as good as doing your, the post graduations or writing the thesis and be your expert in each one of them. When students sit with us and they say, what is our job prospects and how we should secure? You can just do mastery on OT and IoT and create. And most importantly today is the entire, aspects of job, career development processes and a work regime to fall into data. It can be data writing, data content, data security, governance, risk compliance, and whatnot. And it all strengthens from the principles of zero trust. And you need to make the balance of digital transformation. Right. I will stop here because after that it is more to do with, if I was thinking somebody might have questions, what should be the layer in the industry you have seen, like a CIO, CEO, how should I do it in AICTE? I have also covered an example of zero trust is all about identity, endpoint, application, data, infra, more from enterprises. And then also touched with you today about resilience, right? These slides will be shared for all who are there. But I wanted to stop here to show you something which is very, very important.
Meanwhile, with your permission, I just wanted to appeal those who are online. If you have any query, you can type or on chat box. So we'll just see it over here and try to answer. Those who are online and able to hear, you can put your queries on chat box. And those who are on WebEx, those who are on YouTube, they can type on chat box. Those who are WebEx, they can raise hand and or unmute and later on ask questions. And of course, those who are present over, they can directly ask questions. So just carry on and then we'll take a
Sure, sir. Sure. Apologies for with the limited time and more excitement and a lot of things to be shared. The slides will be available, but I thought let me at least conclude. And many organizations, we are privileged to be one of them, who are security driven. We call ourselves as a platform organization, right? But as well as when representing, it is multi-layer. Utilize LinkedIn for learning. It's a platform for the complete specialization, looking into LinkedIn to be looking for job, getting the jobs, looking for hiring in processes and education community. But LinkedIn is a lot more. GitHub for software developers, coders, can create open source, create platforms. Power BI, you can have all the analytics, automation, Microsoft 365. But I'm not here to tell you what all Microsoft is. What I was trying to show you is the world is moving to multi-cloud, not only one cloud, right? Multi-cloud approach, integrated security, more of consolidation. And you should have, by the way, this number is old of 1 billion, you're on to 2 billion investments, which we did, lot of research, lot of free certifications, education community should look forward for. We also have digital crime units, which do a sophistication of getting and disrupting, larger botnets and attack. There is a 24/7 cyber defense operations center. So there are a huge amount of information which should be disseminated, and many a times we are not aware, right? So we need to look into. From our president and chief legal officer, Microsoft, Brad Smith, people will only use technology they trust. So the fundamental of security, believing in us, is what I showed you, that you can only disrupt things when you trust us, right? Thanks to Satya, our leader, who is leading us. For us, the transparency and security are two important parts, and this I'm sharing because this is common for all. This is not related to us, but it is important to look into controlling, which I covered. Transparency. There are legal protections, sir, if something happens, how you get your money back, as you said. If you report back, if it comes into same like a physical theft, this can have a disruption. So it's very, very important, right? There is no content target-based activity, which at least our organization does. But it is most important is when you are tracking and you have configured yourself best to be tracked, have to be looked into, which require nothing but basic configuration and relief. Thank you for your time today. It is time to open for questions, if at all, sir, the team has on the virtual who are listening, unfortunately, silently on the other side.
So forum is open for queries now. We welcome your queries, please. Vinay, just see if someone is.
Sir, can
Any queries on chat?
sir, with the permission of the chair, can I have one?
Yes, 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 please.
Sir, as an organization, the deployment of DDoS, like in our EICT premises, we did it, and it controls the bombarding on servers for the fake traffic and all. But as sir has mentioned about the personal cyber hygiene, I think one should have a know-how about the browser settings, the temp file clearance, the prefetch file clearance, and I mean, is it enough to deploy the antivirus mechanism of client server to stop the spam generation?
There cannot be a word in security, is it enough? Even at one layer, I wish I can say you put this 10 product and it is enough. But yes, so up. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. So simple answer is multi-layer security. When I say multi-layer means, for example, we said distributed denial of services attacks are happening. You are testing it out. Do you have a web access firewall to control? I hope you are aware in any of the browser you do, there are private browser settings as well, right? Some can be done by admin. I'm not talking every user should start doing it. The control mechanism, but can it be set 101% you can do? How, after what time the data can be deleted, the browser history, some admin controls are for users to control and do that. Some mechanisms are given to admin so that it does not get weakened at the level of non-tech. So various techniques and controls regulated from admin panel, from the user side, a combination. various tools and technology at multi-layer approach. For example, it came from web. If it is endpoint, antivirus is absolutely not only an example, right? Now the techniques have moved from endpoint. If there is an attack, I hope you have seen the word called, heard the word called EDR, endpoint, detection and response. Attack happens, detection happens. What is the response mechanism? These all are tools and technologies. Security operations and which is on the source side or intelligence, and then disseminating what is coming from web. Now, question is there anything when spam comes in? There is a tools and technologies which is called to improve email security so that you don't get that phishing. How well it is working is a different thing. And if it is not working, who is managing and monitoring it? I told you about tools. So what I'm saying is there are structured, regulated, layered approach, but now it has to be consolidated so that wherever it is running, you should also have a single visibility. And that way you can control the spike. If you see distributed denial of services, one question which was asked, is there a way that it has reached the threshold, now the action should be taken, right? If those techniques are there, you'll be able to solve that up. The last piece, it is not only technologies, because question may end up that, are you saying, should I put 100 technology, I'll be secure? What we are saying is also should have minimum security guidelines and practices. If you combine that, the total attack surface, which we say, will be minimized, not zero.
Any other question? One question they are putting over here. One guy is putting what is the path to become cyber security kind of? If someone is here only. Thank you so much, sir. I think someone is typing here only, no? What is path to become cybersecurity expert, right? They're asking how to become cybersecurity expert. They want to become like you are the expert. How you gain the expertise? Yes.
I mean, sure.
I think I'm audible without mic. Despite there being awareness, security protection devices, this is of hacking happening. So is it because of the pilfering of the data pass, or it is a random strike of the attacker? So there is some probability of so many attacks on one work. What is exactly it? What exactly is that makes this happen?
Okay, and is this question, sir, is also related to why so much of attacks are happening, or is it the type of attacks which are penetrating, or these are two parts of the question? Yeah. Right. I mean, one, obviously, the first simple answer would be the objective of hacking. So I hope we have today established that there are hackers, and the modus operandi is secondary. First is the purpose and why they exist is not to be talked twice. It is already done and dusted, which is financial gain. More than financial gain, it can be various reasons. Then there is a word which we call targeted attack. Hackers is a term which is related to somebody who is doing something which is undesired and uncalled for in a technology way, strategic way, or utilizing the unknown way. The second part of the answer is more related to when these activities are happening. Why it is happening? Obviously, because of the proliferation of the value of data, proliferation of expansion of digitalization, the expansion of connectivity which has happened. Everybody is connected to internet. Earlier it was very silo, so that obviously is bound to have more open space for both, for growth for us, as well as same platform, digital platform, is used by somebody who want to do cyber crime, or maybe doing the hackism, and most importantly when you say hacking, right? And the third part is also about the existing vulnerabilities or lack of awareness is one example, but I would say end-to-end the ecosystem which we are trying to improve in various ways. Education awareness is one part, tool technology improvement is one part, by which we are able to gain easily. It is something like, it is so easy to identify 1,000 doors open, rather than they are thinking about their ROI, they know is door mein chalte hai, let's penetrate. So opening and closing of those doors is just a matter of shutting it down, not to put a hard key. The second stage of hard key is when somebody is a targeted attacker, sophisticated attack, want to go specifically in that room. Now he will identify that second layer of that example of how will I create a duplicate key? How should I do? What time I should enter? What time I should penetrate the attack? Midnight office is closed, or many a times, just to give an example, in media industry, it works 24/7. There was a question asked 10 years back to me in one of the media community. Are you telling me we work with all sensitive information as well as which you will block like porn sites? We have to run porn site whole day because I'm running a magazine on that. And you are telling I should not be having spans of that. So you should block all, the child abuse, porn websites, any activity. Those are what they are reporting. Question was, what is there in terms of that type of news which might have a malware inside it? Technology should solve that malware, not that news. And if you are able to solve that, that is what I said, sir, for the purpose of the hacking, that while they're having, there can be targeted, state sponsored, or a basic hacking. So volume has increased, data proliferation is there, tools, technologies are in humongous way. They work in silos, do not talk to each other. Governance and all needs to be integrated and work together. Looks very simple, but very, very complex. But the more and more we are getting cohesive and use automation, it helps improve that.
Have you been able to identify how the debit cards are being?
How the debit card?
Yeah, debit cards are good. There have been instances of withdrawal from your account, ATMs or purchases using your debit card whereas you have not used.
The simple answer would be that if I am a genuine user and it is my debit card, what all I do to transact? Debit card does not know who is transacting.
Yes.
I hope you all agree. Who is aware who is transacting? Only digital system. And on what basis? Only the parameters which goes into it. How should I secure it? That how this debit card is being utilized by somebody else. Basic examples we have already covered. If you have got somewhere to internet banking, I hope, just to give you an example, I do my online banking, save my everything, save my session, doing all that. Passwords are weak. People are accessing customer ID they have already got. Someday they have got, I was sharing the date of birth and everything. Half of the data is ready. Now the guy is waiting for Deepak for his half data. The day he got, now he's only working. कहाँ पे access होता, so that I know the debit card. अब चाहिए क्या? सिर्फ 3 चीजें. What all we need for in debit card to do an internet transaction? Not physical. I know that I can get that 2-part OTP phone registered पे आएगा. Then there is a skipping process of forwarding that OTP, or the other way I have told you, creating fear and a stress or situation mapping so that you tell the OTP or OTP gets into it, transaction will happen. What I'm saying is this is a sequence or chain. And if you talk about responsibility, it talks about when I'm making a payment transaction, my gateway provider, banking provider makes sure that this authentication line is coming from there. That's a huge complete security which we do for banking and regulations, or all the security organizations are doing it. So what I'm saying is this channel also have to be safe. That's why we say safe banking does not only mean not sharing OTP or also doing it your way, but not only your responsibility, what sir mentioned, it is also the banking, payment gateway, authentication to get into. Second, hack happened, data got breached, banking data got stolen, Domino's information got stolen. We all have our own information. In that, somebody is making master list and creating those information. And later on that, when we say data breaches and all, that credentials are later on used. There can be data card. I'm sure you have learned many historical things of credit card data got stolen and all, and that also being used. I'm not saying what happens when you have 4 million card stolen with their 4 million known, so that you can block them and reissue them is a history, right? Or can be the techniques. And that's why now you have cards with chip and all. Physical security. You are accessing it, skimmer has put this panel and then you are creating it, cloning of the cards. So these all are techniques, but definitely there are encryption, security on physical evidences with digital camera, forensic investigations. You are able to minimize that and then card industry and everybody is also creating a lot, if I would say, to improve it.
Can I be specific about cloning money?
Sir, on a regular basis, I would say a hygiene way of doing internet banking, because in internet banking, especially in
It's you mean to say that cloning is only once someone has access to your pin. Yeah, that was I specific that I have lost some. Only so they get that ATM card, but how they get the pin? Because these are the name. Someone's know what ATM card is. OTP working. What will they do?
So there are some aspect to physical security. Thank you for bringing that up. Logical. Whatever we say will be easy, but the frauds which are really happening, and we all have real examples. Worrisome example would always be internet based, because I don't know how to tell you, but I'm sure many of you might have heard that I suddenly got a message 20,000 withdrawal and instantly got concerned, called bank, whatever till that time. So many things matters. That's why I say how much. For example, I don't know how many of you do internet banking for sending, for example, your son's fees and all. Somebody studying outside. Do you have a limit? I'm not saying money should go, but do you have a limit? Do you control that limit based on international transaction disabled, and that has an option? Seamless or internet or physical or what? I'm saying there are some things which we need to configure. Control panel is given. There are other part like in physical ATM, the lot lies on the machines and physical security, and it's not like anybody can just get in and put the skimmers and all. It only happens when the physical surveillance, the guard, the overall physical security got breached, right? Or remotely were able to configure, just to let you know, can be running on Windows legacy ATM, just to share. But that adds to ease of getting that login credential and password. But my worrisome story is more on the internet. There, sir, it is very important. Some configurations and all, thank you. It can be online, but sometimes it is cumbersome. How many of you do internet banking and login, and there is an option called virtual keypad? How many of you actually type? None. And do you know why it is? Do you know why? I can log in. You are doing internet. I will sense, feel the speed, the way you are typing, getting recorded, when, how, all that. That level of analogy and process and structure, when I'll have it, then I know, once I guess that speed, because now you can even track and stop that. Okay, if I'm just telling you the advancement in terms of technology at what level. So Deepak types at always at this speed and intelligence and all, so that if it does not match, authentication will not happen. Somebody else. What sir asked when I told, how do you know who is transacting? In the technology, you can do that. And what virtual keypad is that? Because virtual keypad is not the way you are typing. You know what I'm driving to? Behavioral analytics. So in all, the security of banking, security of regulation, just for that example, it can be IoT and devices and whatnot. Right? I think we are over time. So
Yeah,
any last questions or anybody had?
Whether anyone has any other question, otherwise we can stop at 75. So I think to our talk, rather than feeling secure, we are feeling now insecure, highly insecure. बहुत ज्यादा डर गए, ऐसा लगता है अभी मोबाइल और सब सिस्टम बंद करके सो जाना चाहिए. Because now you should not use the mobile now. But he has already mentioned technology should be enabler actually. It's not that, just lighter note only I told you that.
No, it's a right note as well.
we should be aware of all these aspects. It is very important. So thank you for that. I'll request Mr. Manoj to propose formal vote of thanks.
It's my privilege to deliver the vote of thanks on this event. One and all joined here. At the outset, I take this opportunity to thank the cyber expert and today's resource person, Mr. Deepak Talwar, National Security Officer, Microsoft, who gave such a beautiful presentation and demonstration on various cybersecurity things. I would like to thank our beloved Chairman Sir, Vice Chairman Sir, and Member Secretary Sir, who honored this event with their presence and blessing. I would like to thank our advisor, Dr. R.K. Soni, Deputy Director, Dr. Nikhil Kant, all my senior officers, my dear colleagues, and last but not the least, eminent attendees from various renowned institutions who have joined this workshop virtually and made this event a grand success. Hope you all definitely draw the benefit out of this session. Once again, I thank one and all joined here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone who are physically in the room and virtually.